And then from there, we reorder it and we shrink it. So you had this big stack of cards all over the place, we put them in order, and then we figured out what was the priority, how long would it take, and we shrink that pile down. So then we have this nice reordered basic development cycle. And then from there we start to specify, but we don't get too detailed on the specifications. We just want to kind of get an idea of what it's going to take, what has to be done. And then with that, you have a plan. That's simple, right? You've created, with a little effort, how you're going to go about it. You have a now plan for you've done planning now for the next 2 or 3 months, so you understand what's going to happen over the next quarter. We've worked it from top to bottom. We've taken all the issues possible. We've condensed them. We've shrunk them down. And we adapt as we go. So it's not a problem if we go too fast or too slow. And then we realize that, look, even if the plan changes, right, if our planning changes, it's okay. It's perfectly fine. Because we didn't spend that much time on the plan to begin with, right? So it's okay if it changes over time. But the next thing we do is we start tracking. We want to understand how long it's actually going to take us to do certain functions. And so we continually check our progress, right? And we always are verifying our estimates and our velocity moving forward. And we want to check the relevancy of the remaining work. Is it still necessary? Is it still relevant? Does it make sense? Should we drop it off? Should we add something else? And then from there, it makes it very easy for us to make decisions, right? We can easily decide whether or not what we should do and when we should do it. And then we start to rethink and continue our planning, right? It's a process that we do the entire time. So what you get at the end is this weekly planning whiteboard, right? And it has all of the different things that we've decided we're going to do, and it assigns them a number on how complicated it's going to be and who's responsible for it. And then we start using our wiki, which helps people understand, okay, what's the task involved, how long do you think it will take, who's responsible for it, and any notes that they may have throughout that process. So it's a real good way of us understanding what's happening, how it's happening, when it's happening, things of that nature. And then we use something called a burn down chart. And the burn down chart helps us understand how many total issues we had, how many issues we were able to resolve, how many are unresolved, how many bugs we fixed, how many improvements we made. And it helps us understand how long it takes us to do certain projects and where we are within a particular project. So a burn down chart is very, very important for us. But the most important thing throughout this entire process is communication. And a story I'd like to share about this is Atlassian is a very generous organization. We created a project called the Starter License. And the Starter License is where you can use basically 6 of our products. You can buy them for $10 each. And every one of those products, we donate every penny to an organization called Room to Read. And Room to Read was started by this guy who left Microsoft. His name is John Wood. And he helps build schools and libraries in impoverished countries. And it also supports girls with scholarships. So, in impoverished countries, women are usually the first ones that have to come back and go back to work in the house. So they don't get to further their education, which kind of perpetuates poverty. And so Room to Read has been great in getting all of these schools and libraries and sponsors several hundred girls now to go to school from the time that they're 5 until they graduate, and even on to university beyond that. They give them everything from books to backpacks, pencils, bicycles, everything you can imagine for them to go to school. It's a great organization. But it started out with the conversation of, can we even do this? Can we even make $5 and $10 licenses, or can we even make these starter licenses? And we started off with 5 users for $5. And we thought, okay, if we generate $25,000, we'll run it for 1 week just to see if we can do it, because we didn't know how much it's going to play on our support, how much it's going to play on our finance, how much pre-sales it's going to take, how much our partners are going to be concerned about it, what's it going to have an effect on our business. We had no idea, right? So we do a lot of this thing called A/B testing. And so essentially what we did is we said, all right, well, let's run this program for 5 days. We'll offer our top 2 products for $5 for 5 users. And we thought, we'll generate, we think, around $25,000 in a week, which we thought would be pretty good. We generated $25,000 in the first day. We ended up generating $100,000 in the first week. And so we were shocked by these $5 licenses. We said, wow, we can actually do this. And then the next conversation we had was, should we do this? Is this something that we should actually continue to do? And we thought about it for quite a long time. This was a year ago, April. And then last September, we released the $10 for 10 user licenses. And we enabled 6 of our products to be these $10 licenses. And it's turned out since then, we've been able to raise $500,000. And it's gone to support building libraries and schools and scholarships for these young girls. And even to this day, when I tell this story, it still gets me a little choked up because I've been to a few of these events, and it's amazing to see the effect that this small change, an agile change within one little company, you know, a 250, 280 person company has been able to really change the lives of all these people. So it's really been something special. So the whole thing started though with communication, right? We had to communicate between finance and support and pre-sales and partners, and every organization, the developers, everyone within the organization had say on how and where and what we could do to make this a reality. So if you really want to kill a project, the best way to do it is prevent conversation, right? The most important thing is to talk. Face-to-face communication is number one, right? It seems easy, it seems simple, but it's surprising how many people overlook this one simple fact. And communication, I don't care how you do it. If it's instant messenger, if it's video conference, if it's World of Warcraft, it doesn't matter, right? Whatever you need to do to communicate to people, it's perfectly fine. But the interesting thing is, since the Stone Age, we really haven't changed that much. Conversation is still the number one key for us, right? So it's really important that whenever you have time, whenever there's a possibility, you just go for a chat and you have a conversation. So what we do at Atlassian is we have regular meetings, and I'll explain the regular meetings a little bit. So we don't have informal chats. We try to structure our meetings, right? Because if you have informal chats, you end up missing many of the issues that you want to discuss. We also so we have these regular meetings to channel all of our energy into these structured daily, weekly, semi-weekly, quarterly meetings, right? And these meetings, they do take time. There's no doubt about it. They take quite a bit of time. But not having these meetings creates confusion, and it actually makes us spend more time. So it's very important that you have a clear agenda, you have a strict moderator, and you stay on time and on point. So the first thing we do is every day we have something called a stand-up meeting. And a stand-up meeting is where the team gets together and they really take about a minute each or 2 minutes each, and we actually pass something around. So sometimes it's a football, sometimes it's like a doll, sometimes it's a heart. It doesn't matter. It's always something changing, right? And each person gets to hold it. Whoever's holding that item gets to speak, right? And so we have these meetings where everybody gets to talk about what they've done or what they're going to do, and it just takes a quick little 1 minute each. And then after that, if there's any sort of topics that pop up, we delay those and we say, okay, let's talk about those outside of the meeting. And we limit these daily meetings to 15 minutes. They're just quick stand-ups, right? The next thing we do is we have planning meetings, and this happens weekly, and we do it for about 45 minutes each. And it's for all the contributing factors, all the developers, they attend these 45-minute meetings. And what we do is you have sort of the team lead for each little development team, right? And the team lead then is the representative and speaks for the team in these weekly meetings. And that's where the plans get changed, get discussed, and oftentimes where we make changes in our plan. But the beautiful thing is it's an opportunity for developers, or in this case developers, because it's the Confluence project, or managers, to not overcommit themselves. If you have too much on your plate already, it's an opportunity for you to say, you know what, I think I need to focus on what I have now. There's no reason for me to take on additional work. So it's an opportunity for you to understand and do less better.